Hey guys, welcome to Why We Love Horror. I am your host Joshua Halstead, and I'm joined today by one of my buddies, Jeremy Bawelkiewicz. Jeremy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am hanging in there, surviving the
Yeah,
apocalypse.
yeah, same,
So,
same.
well, hey man, so you, we met right after I moved to Texas. I was eight. I just turned 18 when I moved to Texas. And so growing up, which people listen to the show probably already know, growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch any horror past about 1968, I guess. The last thing I
Yeah,
could watch was Romero's first Living Dead movie. Like that
yeah,
was
yeah.
And so around 18, I could watch whatever I wanted. So I just started getting like really into modern horror. I mean, I'd always been into horror, and I'm really well versed in old school horror because I couldn't watch any new stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's when I started getting really into like modern horror and really like studying
hmm
horror instead of just like watching it for fun. And I started working at this grocery store, and you work there, and you are super into horror. And we usually had the same shifts, so we would not do our job and talk about horror. So that was kind of like a big like driving force at the beginning of me getting really into like modern horror was going into work 5 days a week and just talking about whatever new horror movie I
Yeah,
watched that you'd seen
yeah.
50 million times. uh so it's exciting to have you on the show and get to talk to you about horror like on the record.
Yeah, yeah. Finally found some time. When we're all doing busy schedules now because of all the whole coronavirus thing. So, finally set some time aside and happy I can be on here.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the core question here, man. What is it that makes you like love horror that drives you to your love of horror?
Well, I like how diverse it is. There's a horror movie for everyone. you know, slashers, supernatural, monster movies. So, I mean, anyone can get into the genre, honestly. That's why I love it because, you know, no one's left out in horror, pretty much. People can say they don't like it, but, deep down, there really is a movie that they really like. And so, and not many genres can do that. Comedy, there's usually only a few genres of comedy or, action, but with horror, there's endless supply. And so that's why I love them because there's just a new horror movie coming out, almost every week. Well, they used to be, not anymore. Uh, but but yeah, it's just everyone can get into the genre. Not a lot of genres can do that, and that's why I love it.
Absolutely. So I want to ask, are you still able to get like are you able to get scared by horror movies at all?
Yeah. Usually when it comes to stuff that like I know has a possibility of happening. So when it comes to like supernatural stuff, depending on whether you believe it or not, it's still a real possibility that it could happen to you. You know, say like The Conjuring, the first one. After that, it kind of went off the rails. Uh, yeah, but yeah, supernatural like the first Paranormal Activity, that still scares the crap out of me. The Conjuring, and even Insidious and the Blair Witch. Those are the few that really scare me. But like slasher movies, not really. It's more just like tense and suspenseful. But I'm not like legitimately scared watching them.
See, I can't get scared by horror movies. I can get like I can get my blood pumping. Like it's suspenseful scenes, I can feel the suspense, but I don't get scared by them. But I don't believe in the supernatural world, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
like those ones don't get me. If any all the ones that I can think of, which there's only a few that have ever like scared me. Like most of them when I was younger, but then they aren't really. Most of them aren't supernatural. Most of them are like I mean they are slasher kind of stuff, or
hmm
a killer that's your next door neighbor or something like Disturbia, which I probably shouldn't have been taken to see in theaters when I was like 6. But
Yeah, if it's like Psycho or Disturbia, where you're just like, yeah, that could actually happen. That's one thing, but I'm not talking like Friday the 13th, where he gets blown up and brought back to life. I'm like, that doesn't scare me because I know it could never happen, possibly. Nightmare
yeah,
on Elm Street. Yeah, like that stuff. It's just like it's whatever. It's just fun to watch. But like Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch with the whole like urban legend setting, with all that, like, that could possibly happen. And so it's like, it just, gives me the creeps and everything.
Yeah. I like the first Paranormal Activity. I think I watched the second one and I didn't like it and I just stopped watching after that. I still don't like The Conjuring very much. Like,
Yeah.
objectively, it's a good film, but it just doesn't work for me.
I see. The Conjuring is my favorite. It's one of my favorite supernatural horror movies. And The Conjuring 2 is really good. But after that, everyone has their own opinion on the series as a whole, whether or not, they're really bad movies or, good movies. But Conjuring, I love. Saw it in the theaters, scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. I think I've only watched the first Conjuring once. I watched it like 5 a.m, and it didn't work for me. I like the second one.
Yeah.
Like,
I know a lot of people say the second one's better. I'm like,
I think it's the pacing. Like, if you don't believe in the supernatural, then the film has to have like something else really going for it. And the first film is really effective if you believe in the supernatural, but if you don't, it's a little boring.
Yeah.
Where the second one is very, like, it's much faster paced and there's a lot more character drama going on. I like the second one. I love Annabelle Creation.
Oh, so do I. Yeah.
But all the other ones in that series I don't like. Except for I didn't watch Curse of La Llorona because of what they did. I'm good with the gentrification of horror. I don't need to watch the Curse of La Llorona.
We don't talk about that, the first Annabelle or the Nun. Those three we can do without.
Annabelle Comes Home, I felt very mixed on. Like, it didn't grip me, but it objectively wasn't bad. So I just it was like watching a nothing.
I think it's because Creation was so good that our expectations are, a little high for this. Because, how they're going to, they're coming off of that. And plus, there's 2 really bad films before it. So it had everything going for it. And didn't live up to our expectations. It's still a good movie. It's just not like Annabelle Creation good.
Yeah. Well, and I thought the premise was fun because one of the biggest things that's just drove me nuts in the Conjuring series is like these 2 demonologists in real life have a fucking museum.
It's just not the museum.
Full of demonically possessed items that they keep in their house with their child. Yeah. Like, so I thought it was hilarious that they finally addressed it. We're like, yeah, so what if like the door got opened? And it was like, I was really excited for and I just watched. I was like, I think it was because it was like, it's technically well made, but there's just nothing original. There's nothing that, because I felt the same way with the new Child's Play. Watching it, being like, this is technically a good film, but I feel nothing.
I like the new Child's Play just because it seemed more like it could actually happen as opposed to, a serial killer gets killed and then his soul gets cursed into the body of a doll. I'm like, that's very outlandish, but an AI doll going crazy, malfunctioning and, becoming sentient, like, yeah, it's also very outlandish, but it's still more capable of happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need my horror to be believable. So horror's not going to scare me either way. So I don't really look necessarily for it to be believable so much as just
yeah,
to have a good time or to get a lesson, stuff like that. I will say the original Child's Play franchise is one of my favorite franchises. I actually think I overall rank it higher than at least Nightmare on Elm Street as a franchise. But I don't like the first Child's Play that much.
Really?
I love Child's Play 2. Bride of Chucky is my favorite. I love Curse and Cult. Seed never existed. Child's Play 3 is fun. And Child's Play is good. But I don't know, maybe because I never really liked the first Child's Play that much either. Like, I've always thought the story was just kind of like, I don't want to watch a police detective investigating this. Let me watch the doll kill things.
Well, that's how I feel about Friday the 13th. I know, like, my brother, he loves the first Friday the 13th. But I'm just like, I'd rather watch another movie, like, part 2, 3, or 4, where it's actually Jason doing the killing, and he's established as the killer. I mean, nothing against part 1. Part 1's iconic, but I'd rather watch 2, 3, or 4 just because I grew up watching those more than the first one.
I think that is the more popular opinion. I definitely like the first one more than 2, 3, and 4. I like 3 a lot. 3 is just really fun, and I like the gimmick and everything. Like, I have the Blu-ray with 3D and 3D glasses and stuff like that. So I like 3 a lot because, I mean, to me, Friday the 13th, the first film is the only good film in the franchise, and it's not like a genius film. It's like it's a passable film that endures with time because it's fun. So because the whole franchise, even from the first one, isn't that good, give me my gimmicks. Let me watch the I think my second favorite Friday the 13th is part 6. Yeah, part 6. The comedy one where they change Tommy for the second time. Yeah. And like has the James Bond opening and he throws the machete and stuff. Like I love it. Because for me, the franchise isn't good. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love Jason X so much, is because it's Jason in space. What's not to love?
It's so fun. Do you know that the guy that did the set design for that is the set designer for 90s Disney Channel movies?
See, I believe that.
Like 100%. I was watching, I was like, this looks like freaking Xenon. And I looked it up, and I don't think he worked on Xenon, but he did the set design for like a ton of DComs from the 90s and early thousands.
Oh, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like it's super. I think that's one reason why the remake of Friday the 13th and a lot of remakes in general get a lot of flack is because they try to be super serious. Coming from a franchise that's mainly very silly, whether it's Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, even Halloween got pretty silly. In Texas Chainsaw, like every remake, it's pretty much just been as serious as we can get.
See, I didn't think the Friday the 13th one was. I agree on the other ones, but the Friday the 13th one I love because I was like, people were like, it's stupid and the characters are unlikable. Like, have you seen a Friday the 13th film?
Oh no, I like
the characters are always terrible and annoying, and it's always stupid.
Yeah, the only remake I don't like is the Nightmare remake because I just didn't like it.
I'm judging you.
Okay, I didn't like it.
I know everyone else hates it. I don't want to argue that it's weird to me because I think that the Nightmare remake as its own film is a fine film. I'm not here to argue it's an amazing film. It's not, but it's fine. It's a passable and fun film, and if it hits those like gothic monster movie vibes, that if that's your jive, which it's mine, it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
It becomes less fun when you tie it to, oh yeah, this is a remake of arguably the second greatest slasher of all time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like when you tie it to it's a remake of this far superior film.
Yeah.
It goes down. But if you watch it like having never seen the other ones, it's a fun film. Like Jackie Earl Haley is amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a great Freddy. I think he's a really good Freddy.
Yeah, like I think, like, I mean, I like it more than the Texas Chainsaw remake, which is super unpopular. I hate the Texas Chainsaw remake.
Yeah, I really like the Texas Chainsaw remake. But I mean, they all pale in comparison to the Evil Dead remake. You know how much I love that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, like that's the only remake that I will say it benefits from being serious, because Evil Dead, the first 3, super campy, cheesy, great movies, and I was like, good, give me a super serious Evil Dead. Let me see what that looks like, and we got it, and it was really good. Sucks, we never got a sequel for it, but I mean
they're doing another Evil Dead, like
we'll see.
But yeah, I mean the thing is, I think that taps into it. All 3 of the original Evil Dead films have a campy tone. Like the first one is definitely meant to be taken way more seriously than the others, but it still has like a campy tone, and they just didn't have the budget and the effects to make it like really serious and scary. So doing a serious version of that is something new and interesting and fresh to bring to the genre. Whereas the original Nightmare on Elm Street was completely serious and effective and holds up and still scares people. So when you do a remake, you're like, what if you did that but more serious? We've already seen it be done serious, and it was done perfect when it was done serious.
Yeah.
We don't need you to redo that thing.
Oh, definitely.
And that was my issue with the Texas Chainsaw one, was that the original Texas Chainsaw is a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
And then in 2003, I think it was, they remade it. And as a film, it's not that it's terrible. And like the cinematography, they brought back the original cinematographer from the original film, and the cinematography in it is really good. Mm-hmm. But it's just that watching the movie, it's just kind of, it's very much like, this is mostly the same movie as the original, but the original is better. Like the original is more effective. And so it just, watching that movie for me is like watching a film where I'm like, every time that I kind of get into it, it reminds me that I could be watching the Tobe Hooper one. And I'd rather watch the Tobe Hooper one.
But hey, it could be worse. You could watch Leatherface. We don't want to watch Leatherface. So
I have not watched that. That is one of the few I haven't watched.
It's not good. It's not good. Don't watch it.
I heard that they try to convince you that a teenage girl is Leatherface.
So they do like, so there's a character in the movie. It's not a girl, but there's a character where you're just like, he's built like Leatherface. Like he's big, he's bulky, and then they kill him off halfway through the movie and just like, well, who's Leatherface? And it's just scrawny little kid. I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense, because this is supposed to be not too many years before the original movie. And so it's just like, is the dude just gonna bulk up like 3 times his size in the span of like 5 years? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, when I watched the trailer for it, the first thing, like watching the trailer and then hearing people talk about it, like from film festivals and stuff, the first thing that was like in my head was like, it feels like the person that made it was a fan of Bates Motel and didn't get that the reason Bates Motel works is because it's set when he is a young teenager, and Psycho is set when he's in his mid-30s or early 40s, like in that range. So you have a lot of room to grow there, and Bates Motel still shouldn't have worked. They happened to cast the only person who can convincingly play Anthony Perkins. Mm-hmm. They happened to cast Vera Farmiga at her boom.
Yeah.
And like, it was this perfect storm to make that story work. And it just felt like Leatherface was somebody trying to cash in on that idea without having done the work.
The best, I would describe it as if Rob Zombie made a Texas Chainsaw movie. Because it goes for like the unnecessary gore and language of just like, of the Halloween remake. And you're just like, this is very unnecessary. Like, I love gore in horror movies, but there's just like certain scenes in this movie. It's just like, we could have done without that. And it felt like a Rob Zombie movie, for better or worse. You know.
See, I like Rob Zombie, but I mean, first of all, Zombie's nowhere near as good as he was when he first started. His films have, but like his Halloween remake, which I liked the first one.
Oh, yeah,
but like. Oh, I hate those characters. Like, I can't stand, especially the opening scene, which I'm not going to say any of the lines from because I won't on a record it. But gosh, that opening scene, like how white trash they are and how like just crass unnecessarily. And that's I mean, but the Texas Chainsaw to me has always been that. So if you pitched like. If before he'd done Halloween, if you're like, hey, we want Rob Zombie to remake a famous slasher, what would you pick? Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it seems like it would be right down his alley. You know, there's some white trash hillbillies in there. So unnecessary violence, there you go. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and
Leatherface is the closest we'll probably ever get to that.
But in all the bad ways?
Yeah. Yeah. Because Rob Zombie will never make... You know, it's very debatable if he has, you know, a good movie. Depending on who you ask. I love Devil's Rejects. And I love the Halloween remake. Those are the only 2 of his movies that I'm just like, yeah, those are good movies. Because 3 from Hell was fine. It was okay.
I haven't watched it yet.
31 sucked. I hated it.
I turned that one off.
I've never seen Lords of Salem or Thousand Corpses. I haven't seen those.
Okay, so I haven't seen Devil's Rejects yet.
Oh.
I love House of a Thousand Corpses.
I haven't seen it. Not yet.
I've heard Devil's Rejects is better, but Devil's Rejects is supposed to be like Western horror, and I don't like Westerns very much. So
yeah, Devil's Rejects falls into one of those categories. It's one of those movies where it's like it legitimately gets under my skin because it could, possibly happen. With all the stuff going on in the world and all the crazy people, they don't give a shit. They'll kill you no matter who you are. If you're just in their way, they'll kill you. And it's like really unsettling, just the stuff that they do. So it's worth a watch, but if you get squeamish easily, no, I
don't.
Yeah.
31 made me really sad because I was really excited for it and I put it on, and the opening scene is really good. And then as soon as the opening scene ended, it just got so bad. I turned it off like maybe 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in.
Well, he needs to stop casting his wife in these movies because she's easily the worst part of these movies, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, she's fine in House of Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense for her.
Yeah, the character she plays in that trilogy works pretty well because she's crazy. She's insane. And she's fine in Halloween. We're not going to talk about Halloween 2. But she was terrible in 31. And it's just like, just stop casting her, please. Please.
I mean, but fans will pay to see all those, like his hardcore fans are going to pay to see his movies with all the quirks and eccentricities.
It's just like Paul W.S. Anderson going off topic with his movies and his wife, like with Resident Evil, another horror movie series that completely went off the rails.
Hey man, she's not the bad part. Everything else is the bad part.
I know. Oh, she was the best part of the first two movies, but after that, I could care less.
I like 1, 2, and 3 because they're the 3 that I grew up with. I don't like any of the ones after that.
I think the first Resident Evil, the first two, like the first one's a legitimately good horror movie, like a zombie movie. I think, like, I'll just throw it on, every October and just like, yeah, it's a good movie. I won't watch it over like Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead. Like,
well, yeah, Avi.
But I mean, like, I'd watch it just to pass some time.
Have you watched the fourth one?
I've seen them all.
Okay. So spoilers for fans, I guess, if you give a shit about spoilers for Resident Evil. But dude, okay. Them doing like they're all, look at all these clones and then killing them 5 minutes into the next movie.
Oh,
what's the point of that?
Oh, don't get me started on the lack of going off of how you end your previous movie, because the end of the fifth one where they have all them fighting at the White House, all the monsters coming in. I'm like, yes, cool. Sixth movie is gonna be, it's not gonna be good, but it's gonna be awesome because of just what they're setting up. And then they just start the movie like none of that ever happened. I'm like, all right, cool. It's whatever. Yeah, they literally do that with every single movie. It's just like, here's a cool thing that's gonna happen in the next movie. Remember that? Forget about it. It didn't happen. It's like, all right, cool.
So I want to jump onto this because I think it'll be interesting. This is a very interesting episode of the show because normally we're well past this question, but this is more fun, so we're gonna do this. So on the topic of picking up your next film where you left off in the last damn film, I think we disagree on this, so it'll be interesting. How do you feel about the bait and switching on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 to 5, and then the bait and switching on Friday the 13th 5 to 6?
Well, I haven't seen those movies in quite a while, so you're gonna have to give me a recap of what happens because I haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street, those ones, in like a good few years. So those have kind of left my mind. Same for Friday the 13th. So.
Oh, I didn't mean Nightmare on Elm Street. Sorry, I meant Halloween.
The Halloween one where Jamie.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, and then they just completely threw that away in the next movie.
Yeah, and made the worst movie in the franchise.
Well, that's very debatable, but
The worst of the original set. I'm not including Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Okay. No, that was a wasted potential because so part of me is happy that they didn't continue with that because it's just like we don't need another killer in this series. You know, if you try to replace Michael Myers, it's gonna just be like, why? Why are you doing this? It's like Halloween 3. Why is it called Halloween 3? There's no Michael Myers in it. So they would have done that with the next Halloween movie. I don't know. It'll be it would have divided fans, to say the least, more than they already have with the quality drop. But yeah,
I'd like fans to. Here's my thing. I don't give a shit about the fans. I want to watch baby Danielle Harris murder some people.
No, it would have been on the flip side. It would have been cool to see Michael Myers become her mentor, like her mentor and everything. Like kind of like go under his wing, and so kind of have like a duo. But hey, we'll never know because they completely just threw that away.
Yeah, like so for me, I like Halloween 3.
I like it for what it is. Yeah.
See, you say for what it is. I would have rathered that they would have gone the route of anthology series, just different horror stories set on Halloween night. Because to be honest, Halloween is amazing. It's my favorite slasher. It is a perfect film. Halloween 2, I know people like it. I don't really like it. It's just eh. And then Halloween 3 is really fun and really interesting and really unique and original. But then fans complained, so they do the next one, and Jamie Lloyd's there, and Jamie Lloyd is a great character. Halloween 4 isn't the best movie, but Jamie Lloyd is amazing. They set it up perfectly to really explore psychological trauma. And then the next film, she's not a killer, and then they're like, well, we'll explore psychological trauma, and she's not allowed to talk. She's trapped in a hospital, not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Because that worked so well in Halloween 2.
Well, see, I'm going to go for a hot take here. I'll say there's only 2 good Halloween movies out there. Halloween and 2018. Those are the only 2 Halloween movies I think are like legitimately good films in the series. Because I'll make it, because I like Halloween too, but compared to the first movie, it's not that great. And then the remake, I like the remake for what it is. Like, it's not amazing by any means, but I mean it's fine. But I think like the first Halloween and then the 2018 movie, like I would call those legitimately good like really good movies.
So if we're talking films that like should be, I don't even want to say fresh, because fresh is 60%. Lots of films should be at 60%. But so let's say films that are 70% or higher, or that should be, in my opinion, in that series. Halloween from 78. Halloween Season of the Witch. H20 and then 2018.
See, I don't really like H2O. Like it's okay. It feels like a generic like run of the mill 90s slasher movie. Like why would I want to watch this when I can go watch Scream? Which is infinitely better.
Yes, Scream is infinitely better. But I mean, remember you made fun of me when we were working together because I said I don't think that I've seen a slasher that is constructed better than Scream besides Halloween and Nightmare. And you went after me. And to this day, I will maintain slashers that are better constructed on a whole than Scream. Halloween 78, Nightmare, the first one, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
1 and 2.
The original Halloween is probably my second favorite horror movie of all time, right behind Evil Dead, the original. I love it. I know everyone will say Evil Dead 2 was better, but
it's just because they're dumb.
Oh, I love Evil Dead 2, but the first half of it's pretty much just a remake of the first one.
It's not the first half. It's 15 minutes, Jeremy.
Well, whatever. Whatever. The first, good part of the movie is a remake of the first movie, and then they pretty much just follow the same plot after that. So of the first movie. So I'd rather just watch the first movie.
Remind me to send you my master cut. For listeners, don't download it illegally. I can't recommend that. But if you own the films, put them on your computer in a super legal way, you could actually edit the original trilogy into one movie that flows perfectly, cutting out the partially remade portion of Evil Dead 2 and stuff. And it is only like a little over 3 hour long movie. So
that's not bad.
Watching all three together is basically like watching the first Lord of the Rings movie in length.
And then when you finish that, watch Ash versus the Evil Dead, because it is a very, very good show.
Yes.
That ended too prematurely. I'm very sad.
And I'm not fully caught up on Ash versus Evil Dead because I was moving when the final season came out and I haven't got caught up. But my understanding is that don't tell me what it is, but there's just a cliffhanger because they thought they were getting another season. So there's just like a cliffhanger and then it's done.
Yeah. So what they were supposed to do is, so it only got 3 seasons, but they were supposed to do a 4th season after all this like big stuff went down, like in the season finale of season 3. And then about halfway through the season, the show got canceled because they didn't have a lot of viewers, which, come on, guys, it's Evil Dead. What's not to love? And then it just, like, the ending of the show just ends on this big cliffhanger, kind of like, I think it's Army of Darkness, where it's like this big cliffhanger, and then nothing. We're just like, all right, I'm just gonna blue balls like that. So it's just like,
well, Army of Darkness, the theatrical cut doesn't have a cliffhanger. The theatrical cut is...
Who's watching the theatrical cut, though? That's the thing.
I mean, even I wouldn't consider the ending of the director's cut to be, or bootleg cut, or whatever they call it, to be a cliffhanger. I think it's just supposed to be a depressing ending. I don't think they're supposed to be.
Well, that's kind of like how the ending of the show is. It's, it's kind of like, it's not so much depressing, but it's just like the way that Army of Darkness ended like that. That's how this show ends. You kind of, it's like, where are they going to go from this? But we'll never know because they hate us.
Yeah. I'm excited for, like, I like that because Bruce and Sam are working on another Evil Dead, but it's like with new cast of characters and everything.
So is that official?
Yeah, they're officially doing it.
Because Bruce Campbell said he's done.
Yeah, so he's not playing Ash. He's not in the movie. They are producing a new Evil Dead movie. So Sam has handpicked a writer-director, and then they're executive producing it, but it's not... Basically, it's kind of like what they did with the Fede Alvarez one, where it's in the same universe, but it's completely different characters.
See, give us Evil Dead 2. That's all I want.
There's a whole bunch of complications with that.
Right.
The rights to that are tied up with another company, and then the company wanted them to make a bunch of really dumb decisions for a sequel that they vetoed, like having Jane Levy's character be evil in the second one.
Yeah,
and like a bunch of different stuff. But they have the rights to the original Evil Dead, so they can take it to whatever company they want and do whatever they want with it. But like somebody was asking, like, can we get Ash again? And Bruce Campbell was on stage and he was like, well, we are working on another Evil Dead, but here's the thing. There are a lot of stupid 20-year-olds. It doesn't have to be.
Well, honestly, what they should do is just continue it off of the show, because the cast in the show is really, really good. And I feel like, they could hold their own for like a movie or two.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wonder if Starz owns the rights to how they did that. But if Starz doesn't, like, if they have the rights to the characters, it'd be cool if they had, this is going to be super unpopular. It'd be super cool if they just like had Ash die, and then they had the group of people he's with in Ash versus Evil Dead come in.
They would never hear the end of it if they killed off Ash.
But they should. The character's had his full arc. There's nothing more you can do.
You could have him fight Freddy and Jason, like how it's supposed to be.
Do you know why that didn't happen, by the way?
Well, I know. I know there was a comic book series about it. because I remember having one like when I was younger. I was like, because this is before I knew what Evil Dead was. I was kind of like, who's Ash? Like, what is this? And I was just like, it was some dude with a chainsaw and a shotgun. I was like, this is really cool. And then I later found out that they were supposed to do two versions of a sequel for Freddy vs. Jason. There was one where it was going to be Michael Myers versus Freddy and Jason.
Right.
And then there was going to be Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. I was like, I don't know which one I want more.
I want Ash versus them. But the reason, like the actual like official reason it didn't happen is that they called Sam Raimi and they were like, hey, we want to do this thing. Would you be cool with that? And he's like, sure. And then they sent him their pitch for the movie and Ash was going to get killed in it. And he was like, excuse me, Ash wins.
Ash always wins.
Yeah, they wanted to kill Ash. They wanted Ash to lose. And he was like, yeah, no.
Well, it's like spoilers for Freddy versus Jason. But I mean, Freddy died in that movie, supposedly, but then he winks and everything. So I don't think they'd really kill off Ash. I don't think they kill off any of them.
Well, the thing is, by the way, Freddy vs. Jason is a fun film, but it's a terrible film. And I don't know why Jason has aquaphobia in that movie.
Well,
as a major...
It's because he drowned.
I know, but he's been swimming in the water constantly. Like, he's clearly not scared of the water throughout the Friday the 13th franchise. Yeah. And they're like, Jason has aquaphobia, which makes no sense. And it's very distracting for the entire movie.
That'd be like if they brought Leatherface in there and he's scared of chainsaws because he got, cut up by a chainsaw. It's like, well, this is what we're doing now.
Have you watched Texas Chainsaw 2?
Yes. I really, really like it. Not as much as the first one, but I mean, I know to a lot of people, they don't like it because it's different to the first movie because the first one's, low budget, horror movie. And then the second one's just, crazy off the walls,
yeah,
stuff happening everywhere. But I really like it. It's a really good black comedy. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to rewatch it, but I really like it.
I think it might be in my Vudu. I love Texas Chainsaw 2. So I controversially think it is as good of a film as the first one, and I actually like it like a smidge more.
I think like replayability, like, if you want to just, choose between the first and the second one, I feel like most people would rather watch the second one because more stuff happens in it. It's easier to watch as opposed to the first one, where, the first one's obviously a slow burn, horror movie. Not a lot happens in it until towards the end.
See, I like that kind of horror film. Oh
yeah, so do I.
I really like horror comedy. Like, that's really my jive. Off the wall, super weird, cringy horror comedy that's like really outlandish. Like the part where this sounds horrible to say out loud, but the part where he's like molesting her with the chainsaw is one of the like weirdest, craziest, like strangest, most hilarious scenes ever. And like, if you watch the behind the scenes of how they did that and stuff, it's hilarious to hear the actress talk about it. Because it was like she was like, well, it's a dulled chainsaw, like there's no knives there, and he's rubbing it against my skin, and it's right next to my nether regions. So basically, it's just like a dude in a Leatherface costume, like thrusting a vibrator shaped like a chainsaw at me. And it's like the weirdest thing. It was like finding out that on Evil Dead, the way that they did the smoke in Evil Dead was they just pumped cigarette smoke, like tobacco smoke, through a tube into Bruce Campbell's face whenever he was using a chainsaw, which is just...
That's great.
Or I guess that'd be Evil Dead 2, but yeah. It's insane. Or like the Steadicam stuff, like where they use the force in Evil Dead and it goes through like the window and smashes the window. Do you know how they did that?
No.
They threw Sam Raimi through a window
while he held the camera. I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
He literally just held the camera and they just chucked him through a window. There's just like a bunch of stuff like that. Like there's a special feature on Evil Dead 2 where Bruce talks about getting like the car scene where the car hits him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and the thing is, fun story about how we did that. What happened was I stood there and Sam Raimi hit me with a car. It's like so funny. Like I genuinely love like really low budget indie horror film stories where it's like you hear how they did something and it's just like, wow, that would not happen today ever.
Uh, yeah, that's why I love the Evil Dead movies. It's, how crazy they are, and I mean, even with Army of Darkness, they just completely like went full crazy. And a lot of people don't even know that Army of Darkness is Evil Dead 3 because of how crazy it is and how different it is from the first two movies. And that's why I love them because each movie is different on their own. Like if I want to watch completely batshit insane, Bruce Campbell fighting an army of skeletons, I'll watch Army of Darkness. If I want to watch super serious, people cutting off their limbs, I'll watch the remake. That's why I love the Evil Dead movies so much. It's because there's a movie for like every mood and everything. So
Yeah, Army of Darkness is really fun. I find it amusing that like Raimi's pitch to the studio, because it wasn't originally pitched as a Evil Dead sequel. He was like, so here's what I want to do. I want to make a parody of that movie Jason and the Argonauts, but with Bruce Campbell. And the studio was like, yeah, we're not going to give you money to do that. Nobody's going to see that. And he was like, what if it's another Evil Dead?
yes.
Like, which is just hilarious that was like the pitch was like, I want to make a parody of a movie from 50 years ago. And like, who does that? Who pitches that? But Raimi is doing he's doing the new Doctor Strange.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, how do you one, how do you feel about that? And two, do you think what do you think he's gonna do with that movie? Like, do you think it's gonna be like straight up horror, like they're saying it was gonna be, or do you think it'll be like the Spider-Man movies, where you'd be like, yeah, Sam Raimi made this?
I'm not sure. So I would assume it will have horror elements. I think it's one. I'm gonna like it more than I would have liked it if Derrickson made it. I'm not a Scott Derrickson fan.
Yeah.
And Derrickson, I think, takes it too seriously, and Marvel doesn't do serious.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because when it originally came out that they said it was going to be, the most like horror centric movie in the MCU. I'm like, well, there's only so much they can do with that idea because remember, it's Disney. Disney will only go so far with what they do, and so with Sam Raimi involved, I'm really curious, like what they're going to do with that.
I want it to be Drag Me to Hell, but in the MCU.
Well, because they're obviously bringing in the multiverse, because it's the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. And so like it opens up a whole possibility, like a whole thing of possibilities of like, are we gonna get like Marvel zombies? Now we're gonna see like a dead Iron Man, or dead Captain America. Like we're gonna see that stuff. Are we gonna see a multiverse where Thanos won and everything is just completely destroyed? Like, I'm really curious to see what they do with that horror aspect.
So with Raimi making it, here's what I want. I want Benedict Cumberbatch versus an army of skeletons, and then throw in a talking goat.
That'd be great if they just open up a whole like portal and it's just Army of Darkness, just, like a little Easter egg, just like, oh, there you go.
Like the villain is just badass.
Yeah, like that would be great. There's gonna be some Evil Dead reference in that movie. I guarantee it. Sam Raimi, he's not gonna pass up the opportunity to do that.
Well, there's an Evil Dead reference in one of the Spider-Man movies as well. And then, of course,
there's also Doctor Strange reference in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I think my guess is that this will be basically Drag Me to Hell in the MCU. That's my guess. It's going to be toned down comedy horror.
Probably.
Very off the wall comedy horror, closer to Drag Me to Hell. PG-13 levels of, which honestly I'm fine with. I love Drag Me to Hell, but
they also said it's going to tie into WandaVision, so I'm really curious to see how that works too. because we don't know anything about WandaVision whatsoever. But they're like, they're connected. So I'm like, all right.
You know what they could do? They could bring in Liam Neeson to play Darkman. And Liam Neeson could team up with Stephen Strange.
Eh.
And we could get Darkman meets Doctor Strange. Honestly, if it's not clear, I'm just bored with the MCU and anything that's gonna be very different.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've clearly gone off topic of horror movies, but with the MCU, like anything after Infinity War and Endgame is gonna be lackluster. You're gonna be sick of it. I mean, I love Far From Home, but anything coming up now, I'm just like, do we really need do we need a Black Widow movie? Do we need an Eternals? Do we need an Eternals movie? Like we don't need any of this.
Okay, first of all, how dare you? Eternals we need. It has Kumail Nanjiani. I need anything and everything that has Kumail Nanjiani.
But it's just like it's gonna go into the whole Guardians way where it's just like we don't know who they are. I guarantee you it's gonna be like we don't know who they are, and then the movie comes out, and then people are gonna be like, oh, I love the Eternals, and it's gonna be this big hit for Disney. And it's like, well, so
I mean, that's how they were with Doctor Strange as well, which, by the way, is the only MCU film I haven't seen because I just do not care.
Oh, you should see it. It's good. It's good.
That's such a ringing endorsement. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's good.
So Scott Derrickson, who did Doctor Strange, to bring back to horror, did a horror movie that's really popular that I have not seen, that I plan to, and I just forgot what it's called. But the one with the possessed little kid and Ethan Hawke.
Oh God! Oh,
the horror director.
Sinister.
Yes, Derrickson did Sinister, which I haven't seen, because I looked at that and Insidious by their descriptions and was like, these look like the same movie, and Insidious is Lee Whannell, so I watched Insidious.
Sinister is really good. That's another movie that falls into the category of movies that legitimately creep me out, because there's a home video aspect of the movies where he watches some home videos of these murders that have happened that the kids do, and it's really unsettling what happens. And you don't really see the demon that much in the movie, so you're left with this whole like, what does it look like? What's going on? And it ends like the movie ends a completely different way than you think it would actually end. And then Sinister 2 comes out, and it's like, well, they just completely shit all over that movie. They just remember the first movie. Forget about it. Dude, we're gonna ruin it.
I tried to put on Sinister on Netflix like a couple weeks ago because I was like, oh, Sinister's on here. And so the poster for Sinister 2 is the exact same poster as the poster for Sinister 1, but there's an extra line. But that's hard to tell on Netflix because the pictures are small. So I got Sinister's on here. So I just click play and it starts, and then it's like Sinister 2. And I'm like, darn it. And the first one's not on there. But I'll watch it at some point. I just...
Don't watch Sinister 2 first, because it'll make you not want to watch the first Sinister movie, because it's just like, are they that bad?
Well, I watched the latest Insidious film before I watched the first Insidious film, and Last Key is a awful film.
Well, I'll say this: if you watch the Insidious movies backwards, they only progressively get better as they go. So you're just like, that's the best way to go.
See, that's not what I've been told. So what I've been told, so I liked the first one. So the only ones I've seen are the first and the fifth. Or fourth? Fourth. First and the fourth. I love the first Insidious. But I put it on to make fun of it because I went and saw Last Key first and it was so bad. Yeah. I was like, okay, I have to see how terrible the first one is. And I put it on, and then it was like directed by James Wan, and I was like, oh, might not be bad. And then really liked it. So I had already watched a bunch of Lee Whannell, but that was the movie that got me to be like a really hardcore fan of Lee Whannell, because I realized watching that, and I rewatched some other Lee Whannell stuff, I realized, oh, he's just done with Insidious, so he's just like crapping out scripts. Like, this is not his thing. And so because Last Key is terrible, but what I've been told is that 1 is the best, followed by 3, and then 2, and then 4.
Yeah, I really love the first movie. I saw it in theaters, and I really like it. The only complaint about that movie is the music is so damn loud. It's just like, because you'll turn up your volume because he's just like, this dialogue is a little bit low, and then it's just orchestra, and he's like, Jesus. Uh, but yeah, the second one, I appreciate the second one because it ties up everything from the first movie. It's kind of just like, oh, that's how that happened. Okay, cool. Nothing else in this movie matters, but that's cool. And then, and then the third one, I like because they try to tie it into the first movie, and then it doesn't really work, but it's fine for what it is. And then the fourth one was kind of just like, whatever. Like we'll just throw in the character that everyone loves, like the was it the lipstick demon, the red faced demon from the first movie.
Oh yeah.
They try to tie it in. They did that with the third movie, and then they did that in the last Kyo. This is like, here you go, we're gonna tie it in because they try to be like, oh, there's a kid that needs help because he's in a coma now. It's just like, come on, really? This is what we're doing?
I mean, at least Last Key gives us the best line of the entire franchise.
Which one?
We have to go deeper into the further. Such a stupid line, but like my brother and I went and saw that for our because we had a review channel on YouTube at the time. We went and saw that, and we had not seen the other ones, and it was so bad. And then I watched the first one on my own, and I like built it up for him. I was like, I really like Insidious. Like I like it a lot more than Conjuring. Like it's really good. He doesn't like it because I built it up too much for him, and it ruined it for him. But like I told him before, and I was like, here's the thing though. The effects are terrible. Like I tried to warn him. I was like, so when you see the further, they just kind of threw some sheets over the furniture and turned on a red light.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's the further is very low budget.
let's just turn off all the lights. But hey, there's a red light over there. Let's go turn that on real fast. Put it on this sheet. Walk around. Like that's all it is. It's whatever. They'll never capture the magic of the first movie again, which sucks.
I will say,
even The Conjuring is like that. They'll never capture the energy and the hearts of the first movie. Like they never will.
See, I like Conjuring 2 more than the first one, but the first Conjuring was very shocking when it came out. Like people were I'm trying to think how to word it, because to me, the reason why I don't like The Conjuring very much is that it is every haunting film, but just done very well.
Yeah.
Whereas Insidious is very original and very unique.
Yeah.
Which is why I prefer Insidious. So, like from a technical standpoint, Conjuring is probably the better made. But it's just I've seen everything that happens in The Conjuring before.
Yeah, that's true.
The Conjuring just does it very well. Whereas Insidious, there's a lot of stuff in there that had not been done prior to Insidious being made. And I like the cast of Insidious more.
Well, I'll say this about Insidious. At least Insidious doesn't have any crappy spin-offs. Like The Conjuring, with the Nun and Annabelle and La Llorona.
Dude, okay, so the first Annabelle, I don't hate it. I'm never gonna rewatch it. But like everyone built it up as like the worst movie ever, and I watched and I was like, it's just a fun doll killer movie.
The only reason why I don't think that the first Annabelle is like a god awful movie is because Annabelle Creation tied it up. The way it ended, it led into the first Annabelle. I was like, cool. It has a point of being in this series, whatever. The Nun is kind of just like, hey, you like the Nun from Conjuring 2? Here's a whole movie that none of it makes sense.
Yeah, whatsoever. The Nun was terrible.
And then La Llorona was just like, I don't even think that was a Conjuring movie when it was first like marketed, because I didn't know it was a Conjuring movie until like 2 weeks before that movie came out, because they're like from the makers of The Conjuring. I was like, Conjuring? This is a Conjuring movie?
Yeah, so normally we talk about representation on this show. We're not gonna this time because this is more fun right now. And I think I had enough episodes of me and another straight white dude talking about representation. But I will do this. The reason I didn't watch La Llorona, which is the only Conjuring movie I didn't watch, I have zero interest in watching them take the most famous like monster story from Mexico, set it in Mexico, and then focus it on a white chick.
Well,
No interest.
It wasn't even set in Mexico. It was set in L.A.
Wait, what? I thought it was set in Mexico.
No, it was set in L.A. Yeah.
So they took the monster out of Mexico and then focused it on a white chick.
Like the only part of the movie that takes place in Mexico is the beginning, because in the beginning of the movie it sets up the whole movie, like, you know, how, you know, this all happened. So like it shows her killing her kids, and then, you know, she regrets it, and then she kills herself. It all takes place in Mexico, and you're like, will this actually be a good movie? And then it focuses, like you said, on a white chick in LA. It's just like, all right.
I hate everything.
But hey, the reason they tied it into The Conjuring is because guess what? Someone had an Annabelle doll. I was like, oh God.
So yeah. Annabelle, like the story up. So I don't believe any of the stories that the Warrens told. Yeah. And I don't like the Warrens as people. There's a whole lot of reasons for that. It's very easy to like look up some of the really shady stuff that they did. But of the stories the Warrens told, I love the Annabelle story they told. It's dope. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously fake, but it's dope.
Yeah.
And then none of the Annabelle movies have done that.
Well, I'm really surprised that we've managed to get more Annabelle movies than we have Conjuring movies. That's what surprises me, because like the first two, the Conjuring 1 and 2 are legitimately really good movies, and then the first Annabelle movie is widely considered a really, really bad movie. So the fact that we've gotten 2 more of those just completely blows my mind.
Yeah. I'm looking up. I'm engaged. I'm looking up something really quickly. So you know the Conjuring 3 is coming, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to take place in London, from what I understand.
I believe so. So I will not be watching it, and I'm going to tell you why. But I'm also going to tell you who's making it, because then you're not going to watch it.
Oh no, it's not London. Conjuring 2 is set in London. I think this one's set in like Boston or something like that.
I'm not certain, but the director of The Conjuring 3 is Michael Chavez.
Yeah, he made La Llorona.
Yeah. It's gonna be terrible. But they also, and I'm really pissed about this.
What's the title? Give me the title real fast.
Oh, you ready to hear the worst title ever?
Yeah, I need to remember. It's been a while since I've heard it.
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Okay. I remember when that title first came out, I was genuinely confused. I was like, why would they choose this as a title? But apparently the case that they're using for that movie, it makes sense, you know, with the case that they're using.
Yeah, so that case is why I refuse to watch the movie. So let me do a little bit of setup, actually. So the story that they were originally going to adapt, that James Wan wanted them to adapt for the third Conjuring, was the Warrens werewolf story.
Yes, I remember that.
And I love werewolves.
But here's the thing: we got a taste of that in Annabelle Comes Home, because they had the werewolf. Because they had the werewolf in it, and it felt completely out of place with the rest of the movie. So it's just like,
I would have been happy with that. Like, it would have been fun at least. Because here's my thing: James Wan said years ago, "I'm not touching Conjuring again." Like he's a producer, but like he said years ago, Conjuring 2 is the last one I'm directing.
He's too busy doing Aquaman now.
Yeah. So I was like, look, if he's not directing Conjuring 3, it's not going to be good. So at least let me have some fun. So I was really excited for the werewolf one. But the biggest reason, the number one reason I don't like the Warrens as people, I know they're dead. The number one reason I don't like who they were as people is because of this case where this guy was on trial for murdering his family, and he argued, he wanted to argue in court, no. The devil made me do it. I was possessed. The Warrens took a huge payout and then used their cachet with the Catholic Church to try to get a murderer set free by earnestly claiming he was possessed by a demon. Conjuring 3 is that story. I have no interest.
I mean,
None.
I'll see it because I've seen every single Conjuring movie. I think I don't know if I saw the first Annabelle in theaters, but I saw the rest of them in theaters. So I'll obviously see this one. But whether or not it's good is obviously to be seen. We will see. Is that supposed to come out next year?
Well, it was this year, but I think it's next year now.
Well, 2021 is going to have the biggest release schedule ever for any year because every week is going to be like 10 movies coming out. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. I don't know. I think the only Conjuring universe movie that I saw in theaters was Annabelle Creation, which is fine because it's the only one I care about.
Yeah.
I really like that. So I love David F. Sandberg, and I thought his first film was amazing, and nobody talked about it. Because he did Lights Out, and nobody talked about it.
See, Lights Out, I'm really indifferent about. Like, I like the short film that it's based off of, because I remember when that first came out, it was all over Facebook. And that scared the crap out of me. I was like, what the hell was that? But then the movie came out. I watched it just one day randomly because I was bored, and I was like, it's okay. It's something special. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good. It's just middle of the road horror. It's whatever. I feel like I know it's only like 80 minutes long, but it feels like it goes on for way too long.
Really? See, I really liked Lights Out, and I thought it did a lot of really interesting and unique stuff and gave the characters a lot more depth than those kinds of films normally have.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason why I really liked it was that he chose to make a sort of teen horror film that was actually like good and unique and tried. Because most PG-13 like teen horror movies, they just make trash.
Yeah.
So like that was right after I had just watched the Prom Night remake for the first time.
Oh,
and like I watched a few like early thousands like teen horror movies. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Hollywood hates teenagers.
Yeah.
So then like watching Lights Out and be like, oh, he tried. And it's interesting. And the cast is good. I liked that. I won't say how it ties in to not spoil, but I did not like necessarily his approach to mental health and particularly to suicide. I thought that was a little tone deaf. But also, I mean, horror just always does that.
Yeah, I mean, no movie really does mental health like the right way, to be fair.
Yeah. So. But I really like that one, and he made Shazam, which I love.
I really like Shazam. I know there's a lot of people who don't like it, but I mean, compared to the other DC movies in that universe, there ain't much to go off of. So I'll take what I can get.
This is probably not surprising because I'm obsessed with Zach Levi. It happened since I was like 4 or 5, but. Because I literally have been a fan of Zach Levi since his career started. Because I used to watch the sitcom that boosted his career.
That was Chuck, right?
No, that's not a sitcom. That's a spy show. No, before that, in the really, really early thousands, he was on this sitcom called Less Than Perfect, where he played the villain. And I used to watch it with my family. And that was like 2001, I think, is when it started. And I used to watch it all the time. It's him and Andy Dick and Sarah Rue and Sherry Shepherd. Think and I used to watch it all the time, so I've literally followed his career. He used to go on IMDb and respond to people on message boards, and people would curse him out because they thought he was faking. But I love Zach Levi, so that there's a clear bias. But like
with the DCEU, have you seen Aquaman?
Nope.
Because they're making a horror movie spinoff of Aquaman.
Oh, I saw that. That would I want to watch.
Yeah, The Trench. Yeah.
Well, Juan's not making it, is he?
Not that I know of. No.
Aquaman looked bad, and I hate Amber Heard. So I just kind
of. I don't blame you. I remember when James Wan was first put on, when he was like, "Oh, he's making Aquaman." A lot of people were like, "Is it gonna be like a horror movie?" Because there's so much stuff they can do with Aquaman to where, because it's the ocean, like he can make it horror.
Yeah.
But then it just became your run of the mill superhero movie.
Like I heard I heard it was good, but like it was basically the way it was pitched to me as like it's a Saturday morning cartoon.
I
And
mean,
like
Aquaman's not a good superhero to begin with, so you can only do
no.
so much. You can only do so much with this character. And if they would have gone the horror route with James Wan, like that was just wasted potential.
I mean, the only thing is they had already cast Jason Momoa before they brought on James Wan. And Jason Momoa can't act. So you can't give him much to do. Like he's good as Khal Drogo, and here
he's only popular because of Game of Thrones.
And he's only the only thing he's been good in. Like there are things I think he's fun in, but the only thing he's been like genuinely good in is Game of Thrones as Khal Drogo, and the only reason he is good in that is because he's playing somebody with no emotions who just grunts and looks hot.
You don't think he plays a good Aquaman who's always drunk?
I didn't watch Aquaman. I watched him in Justice League and stuff, and I thought he was annoying in Justice League.
He was an alcoholic in Justice League. You didn't like that?
No, no. To be honest, watching Justice League, and I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan, but watching Justice League was basically like watching a movie that somebody poured themselves into, and then every once in a while, Joss Whedon just shitting on it.
Yeah,
like that's all.
Justice League was like watching a horror movie. It was just so scary to see how bad it turned out.
I watched it and it was like, part of me was like, oh, it's fun. Like it wasn't terrible. And the other part of me was like, man, every time that I was like, oh, this is a cool thing Zack Snyder put in, it got cut off by Joss Whedon not knowing how to make a good movie anymore. I just, and the Wonder Woman joke that should not have been there that Joss Whedon wrote. And the only person that would do the joke was Ezra Miller. And it's so tone deaf and terrible. But no, like I don't like him. I don't like Momoa. He's a fun Conan. He's not good in the movie, but
yeah,
it's fun. But
yeah.
So here's the thing though. So I'm curious. What do you think is the best James Wan movie?
Yeah, he made the first Conjuring, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Conjuring 1.
Really?
In my opinion, yes. Yeah, I mean, I love the first Conjuring, so I will always say that that's his best movie.
Let's scroll through every James Wan movie. I think there's 2 of these I haven't seen, to be clear. So he did Aquaman. He did Furious 7.
Furious 7 I actually liked. It was fine.
I think I skipped that one. I think 6 is the last one I watched. Which actually I like 6, and maybe I should watch the other ones. They just got they looked so ridiculous after a while. Like it was fun to watch they drive cars and pull off some heist, and then I just started seeing are they parachuting in a car?
Don't watch Hobbs and Shaw then.
I liked Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, so did I. I really liked it.
But I liked it because it was David Leitch, and he knows how to direct action.
That's true.
So let's see. So Aquaman, Furious 7, Conjuring 2, Insidious Chapter 2, The Conjuring, Insidious, Doggy Heaven. What the hell? Oh, it's a short film. Doesn't count. Death Sentence. Never heard of that film until this moment. Has a good cast. Dead Silence. And Saw. Okay. For me, of the ones I've seen, Insidious, Saw, Conjuring 2, Conjuring, Dead Silence.
Well, see, I think Conjuring is the best movie, but Saw is a very close second. I think Saw made more of an impact overall than The Conjuring has, because I mean, Saw has 7 sequels, going on 8, with the new one coming out. So
new one's 9, isn't it? Is it Saw 3D, Saw 7, and then there's Jigsaw?
Oh yeah, as I was saying, there's 8. There's gonna be 8 sequels after that. So yeah, because there's Saw 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Final Chapter, and then Jigsaw. Jigsaw was actually pretty good. Not
I
gonna
liked
lie,
Jigsaw.
I liked the Jigsaw. Uh,
Nobody
then,
else did, but we did. So
and then Spiral, which I don't like. They should have just named it Saw 9.
I disagree.
It looks pretty cool. I mean, okay, so to the average moviegoer that sees the trailer for this movie, you're not gonna know it's a Saw movie until the very end, because it just says from the Book of Saw, and you're like, the Saw movie? But someone who, I don't know if you're a Saw fan or not, but we know that it's Saw 9.
Right.
So,
I mean, so
yeah.
I love the first Saw. The second Saw is kind of fun, and I like Jigsaw. And then the other ones are kind of fun to watch through here and there, just because it's the most ludicrous soap opera ever. Like it really is just a
definitely.
soap opera.
Rewatching them, I think it was like last year. I rewatched them all. No, a few years ago, before Jigsaw came out, I rewatched them. I was like, this is like the most ludicrous soap opera I've ever watched. And then they completely threw the subplot away at the end of 7, because there's like a whole lot of like cliffhangers at the end of 7. You're like, cool, we're not gonna get another one. And then Jigsaw comes out and just completely is like, it's like Resident Evil. Hey, remember all that cool stuff that we promised you? Too bad it's not there anymore. Here's a prequel. Here's a prequel. A prequel.
I will say, the likelihood that Spiral becomes my favorite or second favorite Saw film is almost 100%.
It has potential. It's the most artsy looking Saw film too.
Yes, and I love Chris Rock, and I think he's a very solid dramatic actor, and I like that he came with this idea and went and pitched it to the studio, and I've been following from the beginning. So I love that it's called Spiral from the Book of Saw, because I like that it's kind of setting that tone of like, nope, this ain't your normal Saw movie.
Yeah.
At the same time, it looks like 7. It looks like Chris Rock pitched 7. So, but it was my most anticipated film of the year, and I'm really bummed because it got pushed to next year. And
it got pushed back to next year. I thought it was like October.
I can check. I thought it was next year, but I'll double check really quick. I know.
Well, who knows?
I mean, Halloween is still scheduled, and that was my second most anticipated.
Oh yeah, that's still happening as far as we know this year.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see.
Well, hey, my most anticipated movie is still going on with Godzilla vs. Kong. That's still surviving out there.
Godzilla vs. Kong. That's, I'm trying to remember. I know that I like the guy making it, and I don't remember who. Is it Adam Wingard doing that one?
Yeah.
I like him. The last one that he made, I think it was the last one he made, I'm the only person who liked. So.
Death Note?
Oh, I forgot about Death Note. Yeah, also that one. I like Death Note and everyone else hates it, but that's only because I hate the anime, so it didn't matter to me. I just watched a fun movie. But I was thinking Blair Witch, the Blair Witch remake. I really liked it. There's their sequel. I loved it, and everyone else seemed to hate it.
You know how much I like the Blair Witch, because it came out when you were still down in Texas.
Yeah, we went and saw it.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah, I really, really liked it, and it seems like almost everybody else hates it, but I really liked it. And yeah, I liked Death Note because I don't care about the anime, so I just put on a movie and got like a good horror movie that has nothing to do with the anime I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, it worked for me. My anime friends got really mad. My best friend is obsessed with anime, and he was like, I heard the Death Note movie's terrible, and I watched some videos on it, and it looked terrible, and I was like, oh, I love it. And he was like, how? And I was like, I don't like Death Note. So I watched Willem Dafoe be creepy and an actor I like be the hero. And it was just a horror movie. And he was like, oh, yeah.
Well, speaking of Willem Dafoe being creepy, have you seen The Lighthouse?
No, I really want to.
You need to see it.
That's the guy that did The Witch, right?
Yeah, Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, really want to watch that one. Oh, shoot. I forgot that they postponed In the Heights. I'm scrolling through trying to find the postponed for Spiral, and it's just like a list of everything that's been postponed.
Mm-hmm.
and it's making me really sad. Damn it, New Mutants. I forgot about that one. In the Heights was really highly anticipated for me because I'm a huge musical guy, and that's Lin-Manuel. And that just got postponed, and I'm really bummed. Peter Rabbit 2. Apparently, they were making a Peter Rabbit 2. Where the actual Scoob got postponed.
I'm really curious to see how Scoob is.
I'm so excited, bro. Oh. They didn't postpone Spiral. They dropped it.
Wait, really?
So I mean, eventually it'll come out, but they didn't say like, "Oh, it's coming out here."
Oh, there's no release date.
Yeah, they're just like, "So it's not coming out till we decide to put it out."
Oh, that's how Antlers is. I'm really sad because Antlers looks really, really good.
Yes.
But Disney was kind of just like, eh.
Well, and also like that is a very not Disney movie. I don't know how they're gonna. Like, I know it's under the Fox banner, but even still, I don't know how they're gonna
just drop it on Disney Plus. That's all you got. That's all you got to do.
I just throw it on Hulu at this point. Just count your losses.
Hey kids, you want to watch Frozen 2? Well, too bad. Here's Antlers.
You said "Hey kids" about Antlers, and the first thing that popped in my head is, "Hey, hi kids, you like violins? Want to see me stick 9-inch nails in each one of my eyelids?"
This podcast turned into from a horror movie to an Eminem podcast.
Yeah, well, so all right, so we definitely didn't do anything I normally do on the show besides talk about why we love, specifically why we love horror. But I think that's good. It's a nice break. So let's just I'll try to wrap it up here. We've been on for a while, but let's I'm just gonna ask some random horror questions for a few.
Okay.
So normally we go into representation stuff, but it's a big, long conversation and a lot to unpack, and we've been going for a while. So, which is good because there's only so many times I can have another straight white dude on to talk about representation before it's just like, yes, we get it. You're liberal and feel bad. So like, so do you try to think? So, what is your least popular horror opinion?
Least popular horror opinion?
Yeah, like the one that my fan base will get mad at you for.
Oh God. That's okay. Here's one. It's a fairly new one. I don't like Midsummer. Yeah, I don't like that movie.
Here's
the thing. I love Hereditary. I think it's a great movie. And when I first saw the trailer for Midsummer, I was kind of just like, it looks fine. But then, like, you know, leading up to the movie, I got more and more excited for it. Because, you know, there was all the hype around it. And then watching it, I was kind of just like, it started really strong. And then about like halfway through the movie, like, I was like, where's this movie going? I didn't know where it was going, but I didn't like where it was going because there was parts where it didn't seem like it was going anywhere, and then it would go somewhere, and I was kind of like, I don't like this. And then there's a lot of weird stuff that just goes on, and I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters, so maybe my opinion would change if I saw it again. But I don't think it's a bad film by any means. I just don't like it.
I'm just so mad. I didn't know I could have this much rage.
Yeah, I was honestly waiting to tell you that I didn't like Midsummer.
Midsummer is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie, and it's one of the only horror films to legitimately get me.
See,
like it didn't scare me, but it made me sick to my stomach. Like I almost threw up, and I was like bawling and like.
Well, it might go the same way of how I felt about The Witch. When I first saw The Witch in theaters, I didn't like it.
What the hell? Like, what kind of person doesn't like The Witch?
But then, hear me out. I rewatched it later with subtitles because that movie can be a pain in the ass to understand. And I have a newfound appreciation for that movie now. I think it's a really good movie. So I feel like Midsummer could be that way too.
I heard a lot of people didn't like The Lighthouse because they were like 90% of the bad reviews I saw for Lighthouse were literally just people going, Willem Dafoe has a weird voice and you can't understand anything.
Well, I love The Lighthouse. I think it's a really it was honestly, I think it was like my top 10 of my favorite movies last year. Like I love that movie. But Willem Dafoe is hard to understand in the movie because he has like some kind of like pirate, like old, like I don't know, like 1800s accent. Like he sounds like a pirate with like a London accent thrown in there. It's really weird. But it's a really good movie. If you can get past that and just watch it with subtitles, it's really really good. I recommend it.
Huh. Well, I plan to watch it. I like Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers. I love The Witch, but also Robert Pattinson is just amazing.
Oh yeah,
100%
this movie
of the time.
it made me more excited for the Batman.
Dude, I was already excited.
Yeah,
He was my pick for Batman before they announced it. So,
yeah.
Because my thing is, the only thing that I don't like him in is Twilight. But that's actually a lie, because I love him in Twilight, because he intentionally was bad. And I find it hilarious.
Yeah, everyone is so quick to, judge, like Robert Pattinson and all them because they were in Twilight. Or like Kristen Stewart. But Kristen Stewart's a really great actress outside of Twilight. And Robert Pattinson's a really good actor outside of Twilight. Same for like Zac Efron, I think, is a really good actor outside of High School Musical.
He's a great actor in High School Musical, I'll have you know.
Well, that's very debatable.
Jeremy, we are all in this together.
Okay. But yeah, people can't seem to get past they can't seem to get past those movies with those actors and actresses. Like so with The Lighthouse, people are like, oh, I didn't know Robert Pattinson could be a serious actor, or like, have you seen Good Time?
Yeah, that was people that were like, why was Robert Pattinson Batman? He can't act. I'm like,
turn on Good Time.
Cosmopolis, Good Time, The Rover, The Lighthouse.
Like honestly, just turn on Good Time and be like, watch this, you'll understand.
I do it for. I mean, I think he proved himself before this, but I do it for Zac Efron too. With like when people say Zac Efron's like an actor, it used to always be I'd be like, yeah, watch Neighbors, watch 17 again. Like he's really he's very talented. But now I always say the same thing, which is watch the Ted Bundy movie, and then prefacing it.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's an awful movie, but he's great. No, it's not. It's not that it's awful. It's just that it's really inconsistent, and like half the movie is. So Zac Efron plays Bundy perfectly, right? Because Bundy's charisma and being hot and everything is part of who Bundy was. So he's great, except for that the movie likes Zac Efron's portrayal so much that they just keep focusing on like him being cool and charismatic and hot.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, you get to where you're like, I feel like this movie wants to sleep with Ted Bundy. And it just it's a weird tone in a true to life story about a real serial killer.
Well, that opens up a whole nother subject of, all these movies and things, romanticizing Ted Bundy and everything. Like, do we really need that?
Yes.
I know there was a lot of controversy with that, with the movie, because it was pretty much, even romanticizing him even further than he already is.
I mean, romanticizing, no, but true crime is dope, and I still want my John Wayne Gacy movie, like a good high budget John Wayne Gacy movie.
It's called Texas Chainsaw because that's like every killer put together. So.
Well, it's supposed to be Ed Gein. Like that's based on the same killer that Psycho is, and those are both about equally as accurate as each other, which is to say that they basically have nothing in common with Ed Gein. So they basically got like him pretending to be other people. Like that's all they got, and not in the same way. Ed Gein, by the way, you just cannot make a movie out of Ed Gein. There's no.
He also did all that in Wisconsin, so you can't call it the Wisconsin Chainsaw Massacre. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the feeling that you get watching the first Texas Chainsaw, especially the first time, is probably the closest to the feel you would get watching an accurate Ed Gein movie you could ever get. because it does give you the creepy crawlies the first time you watch it, because it feels very dirty and very real and very like you're not supposed to be seeing it, and it is about somebody like wearing other people's skin, and like, so I do think that that's like the closest you can get to that feeling you would have watching an Ed Gein movie, or the feeling you get hearing about like what Ed Gein did, without having to make an NC-17 movie to accurately depict what he did, because holy crap. But yeah, so I have to ask, so we can fight about it.
Okay. I can only imagine what this will be.
I have a couple in my head. Well, the first one is, did you see Jordan Peele's Us?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
What did you think of it on its own, and then compared to Get Out?
Okay, so I've only seen it once, and I saw it in theaters, and I really, really, really liked it. I think it's a legitimately good movie. I think it did a good job of not spoiling itself in the trailer, because like when it gets to like the halfway point, and spoilers for us, the whole doppelganger thing,
like, the tethered.
Yeah, like the tethered and all that. Like they didn't spoil that in the trailer. To which, if this was any other movie, like a Blumhouse movie, that would have been spoiled in the first 10 seconds of the trailer. And so I think it was a really, really good movie. Get Out is 1,000 times better. I think Get Out is an amazing movie. It's one of the best horror movies to come out in recent memory.
I do like Get Out more, but they're very close for me. But I also like Winston Duke and Lupita Nyong'o. Like their performances in Us are so good.
I think the performances in Us are a lot better than in Get Out. But I think just the overall movie, like the story and just the stuff that like, just like the surprises, I think Get Out is a lot better. I mean, it's Jordan Peele. He can't make a bad movie.
Yeah. Did you see the Pet Sematary remake?
Yes.
Have you seen the original Pet Sematary?
A long time ago. I don't from what I understand, from what I remember, I don't like it, because I've seen like clips and pieces of it on YouTube just to like jog my memory, and I'm just like, this is not aged well whatsoever.
First of all, fuck you. But okay, so I like the original. I don't think it's great cinema. That being said, I love the original. Stephen King wrote it, and it feels like Stephen King wrote it. And
it's fun. See, that's the thing. I don't think Stephen King movies really translate well to movies. I mean, you get like what? Huh? No, let's be real here.
Chapter 1 and Chapter 2.
Let's be real here. A good majority of his books don't translate well. Yeah, you get the It movies, and you get Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, and Doctor Sleep in the Shine. Well, The Mist is debatable, depending on who you ask.
How dare you?
It hasn't aged well, Josh. It hasn't aged well at all. Have you watched it recently? The CGI is terrible.
You don't get to fault a movie for having the effects that existed at the time. That is so cheating. And the ending of the Mist movie is so good.
Going back to It, I think It Chapter 1 is an amazing movie. Now, It Chapter 2, I really like, but depending on who you ask, it's a bad movie. But I'd rather watch those than the miniseries, because the miniseries is trash.
I will kill you. First of all, the miniseries is amazing. But second of all, It Chapter 2 is better than It Chapter 1.
No, okay, I'm ending this right now.
Here's the thing. It Chapter 1 is a more concise film. Yeah. And it's a tighter film, it's more concise. The story is very structured. Mm-hmm. And It Chapter 2 is not nearly as well structured, right? It's got technical issues in it that the first film doesn't have. At the same time, It Chapter 2 packs a much bigger emotional punch.
Oh, definitely.
And I know people be mad at me for it, with the exception of Ben, who is fucking terrible in It Chapter 2. Why the hell did they cast a CW actor? The acting in It Chapter 2 is way better, And Bill Hader, not only is Bill Hader's performance the best of Bill Hader's work, not only is it better than the acting in it Chapter 1, Bill Hader was robbed an Oscar. Robbed.
Going to the acting thing, though, you can't really compare the acting in Chapter 1 to Chapter 2 because Chapter 1 they're all kids. To where, because,
kids, they can act.
Yeah, but, I mean, kid actors are, obviously widely, they're regarded as worse actors than, an adult actor. That's why kids are usually the worst part of a lot of movies. Because, they're the annoying part of the movie, like the annoying kid in the movie. So saying that the acting in chapter 2, you have Bill Hader, Jessica Chastain,
James McAvoy.
Yeah, like you're competing against McAvoy. Like you can't say, oh, the acting is better in chapter 2. Like, yeah, it has Bill Hader and McAvoy. Come on.
Let me defend me saying that. Here's how I'll defend it. Jaden Lieberman, I think is how you say his name, that plays Bill in Chapter 1, is still a better actor than 90% of adult actors. Jack Dylan Grazer is a fantastic actor. Like, he is a really good actor. It's not like he's good for a kid. He's a really good actor.
Well, the kid
Sophia
from Stranger
Lillis is amazing. I don't like Finn Wolfhard.
Finn Wolfhard. Here's the thing with Finn Wolfhard. He's a good actor, but he plays the same character in every movie.
Yep.
Because he literally plays the same character in Stranger Things and It. And he plays that same character in The Turning, which was trash.
Yes. And he did that to Pugsley in The Addams Family.
Yeah.
I will say, so I'm not a Finn Wolfhard fan. I mean, I like him as a person. I don't really like watching him act. I think he's very good in It. And I love Stranger Things. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Don't really like his character in Stranger Things, and I like him as Richie Trashmouth because Richie Trashmouth is the OG, and his character in Stranger Things is clearly based on Richie from the It book. But it's, to me, just not as funny. Like, the way it's written just isn't as funny.
His character in Stranger Things, he's too needy. That's his problem. He needs 11 all the time. It's just like, bro, go outside, go do something.
Yeah. But I mean, so for me, like when I say that like the acting in Chapter 2 surpasses Chapter 1, to me, all the kids in Chapter 1 are good actors. Very good not just good for kids. They're very quality actors. And the acting in Chapter 2 is generally better. But to go against my own argument, Isaiah Mustafa, I think is his name. Who replaces Chosen as forgot his name, the black one.
Wow.
No, the guy that replaces Chosen as Mike Hanlon. They destroyed Mike in the new movies. Like, they just, especially because Mike is my favorite part of the books, of the book. And the miniseries does a bad job with it too. But the thing is, at least with the miniseries, you can't do on 90s primetime television what he has in the book. Have you read the book?
No. So I want to, but it's very thick. I don't want to start that. So
in the book, okay, I'm gonna do this with as few spoilers as possible. So in the book, I mean, aside from just the fact that, like, which is in the miniseries, Mike is supposed to be the one that stays behind in the town, right? Which he isn't in Chapter 2, but he's supposed to be the one who studied the history of the town in Chapter 1, right? That's his thing. Aside from all of that, in the book, Mike's story, him dealing with racism and the racist bullying coming from Henry Bowers, is the best part of the book. Because part of it is that they don't pull punches. They actually talk like racist bullies from the 50s talk.
Yeah.
And his dad tells him the story about when his dad was in the military, when he was a young man, that they were in Derry, and the black men in the military would go down to the main bar in town, and they would dance and play jazz music and stuff and pick up girls, and the white guys in the military didn't like it. So they took the black guys to a shed and spray painted the black spot on a shed and was like, that's your bar now. And wouldn't give them alcohol. So I had to figure out how to steal alcohol. But because of their jazz music, people started going there. The non-racist people in town started going to the black spot instead of the main bar. So they could hear the jazz music and that kind of thing and be in that kind of environment. And the white soldiers got mad and burned the black spot down. And hundreds of black people burned to death. And Mike's dad barely escaped. And it's this really powerful story. Like, I just dumbed it down. But, like, there's all this really powerful stuff dealing with racism. All of it is removed from the movie. Just all of it. So they don't give him anything to do, to be fair. But Chosen is very good in the first movie, despite not having anything to do. Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah Mustafa, just is not a good actor.
Yeah, it's the Old Spice guy.
Yeah, he's just not a good actor.
Yeah.
And he's not convincing in anything he does. And Ben is terrible. Just so bad.
Well, I think we can all agree that they all suck compared to Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård is the greatest part of both of those movies.
Bill Skars.
Come on, man. Let's not do this.
I think Bill Hader surpasses Skarsgård. The rest of them I would agree aren't as good as Skarsgård. But I don't think Skarsgård's very good in the second one because he's not given much to do. But for me, the reason I prefer it Chapter 2 to Chapter 1 basically entirely comes down to Richie. Because I love Richie Tozier and he's done so well. And part of that, like, to admit a bias, is I love Bill Hader and I've been a Bill Hader fan like my entire life. So seeing him get the chance to like do a really serious, like, dramatic role and pour all of his talent into it and blow people away with the performance is like really fun and really nice. But also, like, the storyline for Richie is amazing, and they came up with that for the movie. Because in the book, it's Eddie that is insinuated to be gay. They never outright say it, but it's Eddie that's insinuated to be gay, not Richie. So giving that to Richie and having that part of that as a reaction to the fact that, especially if you read the book, Richie's super, super homophobic and racist in the book as a kid. Like the partially just because that's how people talked back then, and it just doesn't translate, 40 years later. But like he does, like, are you a poo? And like dots his head, and he has like a racist name he calls Mike, and like has a character that talks like a gangster and has a bunch of jokes about how women are just good for sex and all these different things. So it's really interesting. A lot of homophobic jokes, like a lot. So it's interesting to give him that, and to then let in the first movie, Richie still has jokes that are mostly just like a lot of homophobic jokes, right? A lot of jokes about sleeping with women, and then a lot of jokes that are like at the expense of gay people. So then to have it be that he's actually concealing that he's gay, and to explore that, in that movie and everything, and to have him breaking down as Eddie is dying and this whole thing was so well done. It was such a genius decision.
Yeah.
I really, really connected with his performance was so good. But yeah, well, this has been a really long episode, but I'm glad we did it, man. I'm gonna end the episode here, but thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, anytime. Let me know when you want to do it again.